see if we can do it this time. So, was doing some thinking about the last two videos that I did in G flat, and I'm doing this in the context of Have You Met Miss Jones? So the B section it goes to G flat twice, but even still, and each time it's two measures. But even still, I don't think there's enough time to exercise or to implement the kind of melodic content that I was working on. And I think this illustrates an interesting point that I've run into many times in my practice, is that I'll go in 100% on an idea, and then it turns out that idea doesn't work out. But it's not time lost, and what we're going to see is that, especially with the guitar, really all I have to do is shift my position down a half step, and I get all that muscle memory back. And so in some ways, it behooves us to think in terms of patterns or scale shapes, and that's an advantage that guitarists have over other instrumentalists. So no harm, no foul. But I figured I'd start off by just recapitulating what I did in the last video. So I'm going to be doing two ideas. So idea one is going to be the Mixolydian half-step rule. That Chris Park talks about over on the Things I Learned from Barry Harris YouTube channel. And we can break the rule down into two kind of key ideas. If you start on the 1, the 3, the 5, or the 7 of a Mixolydian scale, there's a set of rules for that. And there's another set of rules for if you start on the 2, the 4, and the 6. And so we can say that rule 1A, let's call it, is you're going to have a half step between let's call it 1 and 7. And these are descending. Although you can play it ascending, I suppose, but for now we're just going to look at it descending. Okay, so it's rule A, and B is you're going to have a half step between 3 and 2, 2 and 3, and 1 and 7. Rule 1A, 1B, and then we have here, let's make this look logical here. Okay. So rule 2A is no half steps, and rule 2B is half steps between 2 and 1, and 1 and 7. So an interesting thing happens with this. Let's say in the key of F major. Let's use a new color here. Okay. In the key of F major, we have a C Mixolydian. And let's say we have just a measure of eighth notes, swung or played straight. Now, and let's see, on this measure it's the 2 chord, so it's going to be a G minor 7. And here's going to be the C7. Right, and then we'll have some stuff here, and then bam, we're back to our F major. So what ends up happening is if we play C, and let's say we follow rule 1A, so a half step between 1 and 7. So here's my half step between 1 and 7. It'll be B natural, and then B flat. Right, C Mixolydian has a B flat. Then I'm just gonna go down the scale. A, G, F, E, D, and then here I'm gonna land on, we can call it D flat, because I'm looking for an altered sound when I get to this measure. And one thing that Chris talks about, that Barry Harris has said, is that instead of playing 2-5-1, just play 5 over the 2. That's why I'm doing the C Mixolydian. If you think about it, see, the 2 is a diatonic chord, so Mixolydian should work over it. Anyway, what ends up happening is, on all the downbeats, we have scale tones. So here's my root, here's my flat 7, here's my 5, and here's my 3. And I think this is the magic of these half-step rules, is that no matter which one of these you do, you're going to end up with chord tones on the strong beats, right? Even if you play it in 16th notes, right? If we're in the 16th note subdivision, the ones and the ands are stronger beats compared to the e's and the uhs, right? Let's take rule 2B, right? We're gonna start on the 2. Okay, let's change this. So I'm gonna start on D, and then I'm gonna play rule 2B, right? So then I got a D flat. Here's my half step. Then I got a C. I got a B natural. Because take a look, 2B between 2 and 1 and 7. 1 and 7. So here's 2 and 1. Here's 1 and 7. B flat. Got A. I got G, F. And let's get rid of this D flat, and we'll just make it an E. And it turns out that E is in the diminished. So if we think of like C sharp diminished, or if we think of E diminished, E would be the 7 of F, right? So E diminished also has a C sharp, right? So technically I am within this diminished scale, or diminished chord, but then at the same time I'm also within the scale run here. Next note down. Okay. So we start off outside, or you can consider the 9, D is the 9, right? But then look what happens. We have the root, we have the flat 7, we have the 5, all on strong beats. So, and we can go through each one of these ideas. Now let's say you don't always want to start on the 1. Well, then you would just not, readjust it, right? If you wanted to start on the and, just call it, if you wanted to start right here, you can start with an E and still follow it. There's ways to offset it, but the basis, right, what I'm looking for is just this idea that I'm trying to elucidate, that on strong beats, you'll find chord tones for the Mixolydian with this melodic rule. Okay. We'll come back here. Okay, let's go back. Now I want to run this in to idea 2. And that is, as Chris talks about, Barry's important arpeggios rule. Okay. And what he says is that on a Mixolydian, we can build triads, right? And you can build them on, let's say C7. You can build it on the root, on the 5, and on the flat 7. Right? So in a C Mixolydian or C dominant, the triad would be C, E, G, and then we repeat the starting note. 5 would be C, G, B flat, D, G. And the root is going to be a major, the 5 is going to be a minor, and the flat 7 is going to be another major, right? Because we have B flat, D, F, and then we repeat the starting note. So the idea here is that all these notes, like, they just exist inside a C Mixolydian. It's all diatonic to this scale. And that's where I'm just going in thirds, right? C, E, G, and then we just repeat the top note. Now you can take any one of these ideas and you can do inversion. So you could do E, G, C, E, and get rid of that one, right? Or you can do G, C, E, G, right? So what, we got 3 possible triads, and each triad has, what, 3 total inversions, root, first and second. So that's 9 possibilities here. Okay, but we can't just stop there, right? Because anytime you have a Mixolydian, you also bring with it the tritone. So in this case, it's going to be maybe a G flat, we call it tritone, instead of F sharp. Let's call it G flat. So G flat 7. Now, for those of you that don't know, let's use a different color here. Okay, so a C7 is C, E, G, B flat, right? And this is root, this is 3, this is 5, and this is 7. Okay, G flat is what? 1, 2, is 3 whole steps away. So 3 whole steps away in either direction. You can go up or you can go down. You will arrive at G flat. Or you can think about it as like the flatted 5th. Right? That also helps too. So if you know the 5 of C, is flatted. And G flat 7 is made up of G flat, B flat, D flat, and F flat. And so this is the root, this is the 5, this here is the 3, and this is the 7. Actually, I want to. Alright, so F flat, another name for F flat is E, and look what happens here. The 3 of C7 is the 7 of G flat 7. The 7 of C, let's make that a B flat. The 7 of C7 is the 3. And so they swap. And when you consider this idea that the 3 and the 7 are the most important chord tones in any 7th chord, then it makes sense why we can substitute the tritone. We can substitute a dominant chord built on the tritone of the naturally occurring dominant in any key. If we think about G flat, how does G flat relate to C7? Well, that's the flat 5. D flat, well, that's the flat 9. Alright, so you can think of a tritone as either its own Mixolydian, or you can think of it as a C7 with a flat 5, flat 9. Okay, that's the magic of the tritone. So let's continue. If I build it on the root, I get G flat, B flat, and D flat, and then I repeat the starting note. If I build it on the 5, let's make that a major. This is D flat, this is F flat, A flat, and D flat. I build it on the flat 7. This is F flat, A flat, C flat, F flat. So, and again, each one of these triads has its inversions. So what we said, 3 times 3 is 9 plus another 9, so that's 18 possibilities. Anything that I can come up with here into 18 possibilities here. So this is this gets wild. Okay. So really quick, these is like I think I may have missed this starting note. So if my starting note on this scale run is 1, 3, 5, and same here, if my starting note on the scale run is 2, 4, 6, then I follow this rule. So here we go. This is the same thing I did last time, just in F. So, then for any guitarists out there, I'm going to be in what, 5th position on the neck, or F major in C position if you're thinking of caged. Okay, there was also one idea that I think I played last time, and it was this idea of stealing time. Right, so we saw, actually, this kind of goes into the rhythm of the Barry Harris half-step rule. So, if we don't want to play straight 8th notes, like let's say, get rid of this. Okay, so let's say if I start this, right, here's my beat 1. So if I start like on the 5, now the root of the Mixolydian, so we got C, and I follow rule 1A. I got B natural, B flat, then I got what, A, G, see how it just throws off E, D, C, right? It just kind of throws everything off. Okay. Right, no longer are my chord tones on the downbeat. If anything, it's non-chord tones. And I guess technically these are extensions, but extensions are color. The core sound comes from the 1, 3, to the 5. Maybe that, no, that 9 is the color. Okay. So then, I've compressed time, right? Like I've added an extra note somewhere in a subdivision. And so what I have to do is I have to make up the next idea, right? So like, what I'll do, maybe, nope, didn't need to do that. Maybe I'll do it here. So at some point I'm going to have to make up for this to still stay within the idea. So G, then we got F, E, D, C. Alright, maybe this one's not, let's try starting higher up in the scale. Let's say we start on the 5. So we got G, F, E, right? D, now I'm out of sync, right? I'm no longer on my strong beats. C, but here I can do B natural, B flat, A, G, F, E. And so the important thing here being I have rhythmic diversity, right? And I start to fall back in sync so that my next note on the next chord is E. And from here I can go into a C7. From here I can do a C sharp diminished, which is a C7 with a flat 9. Or maybe I could take an E from here, right? I could take this guy, or maybe I could take this one, because F flat is just E, right? Or maybe I could take this one. Alright, so maybe I'll do this. Maybe I'll do this. Right. Okay. So then I'll do E. Call it F flat. And then I'll just write out my notes here. F flat would be A flat, D flat, F flat. And then maybe go to from F flat. I can probably go to just an F, just a half step up. Okay. So let's try out this idea. That's just going up the arpeggio. Maybe like a maybe I can put this triplet idea and be 2, so that would sound like guitar. Just sometimes the ideas don't match up. Maybe I'll. What happens if I put the triplet there? If I do rule 1B. What if I try instead of what if I try the F sharp, F flat, A flat? Okay. Maybe. That's something I would have done on my own. Okay, let's get rid of this triplet idea. Let me just do, starting from G, the 5 of the Mixolydian. I'm going to go down to A. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, and so from this A, no, that's a G actually. So I'm going to do. Keep it diatonic. Okay. Starting on the 6. Still using all 4 beats. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm using rule 2B, and I'm landing on a B flat. So I can do the G minor again. arpeggio. What if I do rule 2A? So instead of going straight to the G flat, in that second measure, I stayed on C Mixolydian for a little bit. I did it. So I'm doing this one to this one. It's just a half step away. And it's got a common tone in that B flat. So let's see. Same idea, just coming down an octave. Instead of going G to B flat, instead of going to this B flat, I'm going down. Seven, that B flat. This is rule 1A. I can do a B flat dominant, or sorry, B flat major. else in there. I don't know. Today the licks don't seem so hot. Well, let me try and going back to B flat. Let me try rule 1B. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. I'm on B flat, so maybe I can go into the second beat of bar 2. Got a B flat here. Maybe I can do that triplet.